everybody, and yay, I got my bargain bead box for the month of August 2025. It's called Bohemian Nights. This is the little insert that came in it. There's 21 items in the box this month, and if you went to buy them all individually, it would be over $95 in cost. So this is like one of the best values on the market for jewelry makers. And I also have a discount code to Bargain Bead Box. So if you're newer to the company, you can use my link and my discount code and get a discount from your first box. But then when you get your box every month, on the other side of the paper with all the items listed is a discount code for 30% off that you can use on the sister website, Beadbox Bargains, and you can use that over and over again as many times as you want to get 30% off. So even if you don't have a wholesale license or a resale tax number, you can still get wholesale pricing, and it's a really, really wonderful, pretty huge website. So I have already designed a project that I'm so excited about. And kind of what happened is this project idea has been rattling around inside my head, and I sort of figured out how I wanted to do it. And when I opened the box, a lot of the beads that I need for it are here. So like this, maybe these spacers. I love quite a few things in this box. And it's a little bit different this month because normally in Bargain Bead Box, we get a gemstone pendant pretty much as far back as I can remember, and it's changed up a little bit this month. So I want to do a pretty fast unboxing and jump into my bracelet project. I'd like to really skip the unboxing, to be honest, because I'm so excited about my project. And this is going to be like my focal bead, this one here, and some of mine are missing. I'll just show you before I get started. I've already started making some of my little components out of that bead. So, but let me go through really quickly and show you what's in here. If I didn't say, the box is called Bohemian Nights Collection, and this is gorgeous. Now, one of the things I love about this box this month is that it's gold-plated brass, and that is my favorite metallic. I love the gold metals, and so all the findings, and it's full of moons. So if you're a celestial person, it's full of moons, all different configurations. I'm going to go through them pretty quickly. There's a couple that are really, really cute, but this is just stunning. Can you see my finger behind? There's like, it's hard to even imagine it's metal because it's got so much negative space in the pattern of this. I really, really love this pendant. I just love it. It has the little cubic zirconia diamonds in there, and I just love that negative space. It's really delicate, but the metal looks like woven. And then to coordinate with this are some cubic zirconia charms. There's a set of 2, and they are gorgeous. When I first looked at it, I thought snowflake, and then I thought, no, ship's wheel. They're just really gorgeous. And with 2 of them, you could do a really fast and really stunning pair of earrings. And I think that might be what I do with mine. I just love them. And there's so many beads to coordinate if you want to do like a little bead component on the top. And then this is a gorgeous strand. This is magnesite. It's an 8mm round, but it's dyed and heated. So this color is permanent. It's like really gorgeous. It's just really, really a pretty bead, and it looks like real high quality turquoise. You know, magnesite is a gemstone bead, but it looks like a higher quality of turquoise than what it is. So I love that. And then in the turquoise, there is a synthetic, you know, it's a man-made turquoise, and this one is, I think, is this one howlite? It doesn't say, it just says synthetic turquoise, but whoops, one of mine is jumping out. I cut my strand. It was a really, really long strand, 15 inches, and I cut mine just because it was not fitting on my mat. This box is so full, I have trouble always fitting all the ingredients on my mat, but these are 6mm rounds, and they're just gorgeous, really, really pretty, and I like the matte quality of these. And then this is, well, I have a couple favorites in the box, but this is maybe my favorite. Oh, one of them is, like I said, I cut my strand of these, but this is a 6mm blue agate, and this one is also dyed and heated, and it's faceted. So I love that size, and I really love it when the beads, when the dyeing is heated, because it stays that way and it doesn't fade out, you know, with wear. And then of all the moons in the box, this is so cute. This little set of spacers is the moon phases. So you've got the full moon and the half moon, and there's enough here that if you created links, you could do like I would love a Y necklace out of this with a little chain. And there is chain in the box that's the perfect scale to just really connect and have a really sweet minimalist necklace. This is another favorite of mine in the box. This is a 4mm golden rutile. My Italian brain wants to say rutile, but it's a quartz, and they're faceted round beads. And again, 15 inches here. I love the color variations in this. So pretty. That would even be pretty with the moon phases. It's all really pretty together. And then this is such a gorgeous cut. This is a carnelian, and these are star cut dyed faceted round beads. So you get a lot of sparkle. As you can see, even though it's a really opaque gemstone, you get a lot of sparkle with that cut. It's a very interesting cut. And then speaking of sparkle, oh my goodness, you guys, look at this lantern bead. This is in a teal iris. We got 7 inches here. And the facets on this and the shape, a lantern bead is just like a really cool shape. I love it. I just love that. That is gorgeous. I want to play with it. And then I'm crazy for these too, and it's not a gemstone. It's just a 3x2mm crystal faceted rondelle, but I love the color mix here. It's a Bohemian mix, and I just love it, and I think it's going to be gorgeous in my bracelet project. I love that little size, and there's just something about that that speaks to me. And like I said, there are moons galore in this box. This is a 10-piece set, and the color on these is beautiful. These little crescent moons are 14x10mm, and it's in a champagne color, but it looks like the gold is like almost encased in the glass. The gold is not, saturating the whole thing. So you see the gold and the clear, and you could actually even use these as a bead frame. Like you could put something in the middle, like you could string them that way. They're so pretty. This is another, to me, I see earrings out of that. And then look at these really cool glass moon and star coin beads. Those are so gorgeous. I had a piece of wire here so that I could get my fingers out of the way, but I'm really distracted from the unboxing. I know some of you love unboxings, and especially on Bargain Bead Box. But I really want to not unbox. I really want to go, here's the beads, and let me start making my bracelet because I'm very excited about it. But that's a really beautiful bead. Okay. And I love this one too. This is a 10mm faceted round bead, and it's such a gorgeous color. I mean, you could do, like I made this little head pin, but you can do something so simple with a bead like that, just a fancy head pin and the bead, and put a simple loop, and you have a gorgeous earring drop or bracelet drop. It's just wonderful. And then I love these. These are little faceted cube spacer beads, and I love the bright gold. Let me just get one out. So it is cuboid, but it's not just 4-sided, it's faceted. I know it's a small bead, but I really love that, and I think that is going to go in my bracelet. Look at it with these as a spacer. Perfection. Bead perfection, as I like to say. And then we got chain in the box, and like I said, it's a really good scale. It's stainless steel, and it's hypoallergenic, and we got 1 meter here, and it's just a really pretty cable chain. So like if you did want to do a more petite, minimalist piece with the moon phases and the chain, like that's what I saw, is maybe a Y necklace. But I love this petite chain for earrings too. If you like to make chain earrings, this is perfect for that. And there's so many beads in this box that would make gorgeous chain earrings. So that might be what I do with mine. And then there were a lot of these bead caps. I think 100 pieces of these little tiny filigree bead caps. These are so useful, and if you have small beads, of course you can use them for that, but I also like to glue these like on the tops of beads. We don't really have a flat bead that it would work on, but if I ever get a coin bead or something that needs a little embellishment, I like to use a little E6000. That's just perfect for gluing to embellish the center of a bead. And then this is another favorite thing of mine in the box. This is so wonderful. Same finish, that gold plated brass with the cubic zirconia. I can't talk. The cubic zirconia like little crystals in there. But this is the coolest, most beautiful clasp. I don't know if I'm going to use this on my bracelet. I'm thinking that I will, but it's really cool. So your loop connects here to your piece. So it kind of goes over this moon kind of backwards like that. It's a stunning clasp. I don't have anything like that. And then more beautiful little moon charms. Whoops, that one's backwards. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? I just love the finish in this box because this looks like fine jewelry. The plating is really high quality, and the cubic zirconias really look like diamonds if you don't know what you're looking at. And then it's so funny that we got these moons because these are the coolest connectors. There's a connector loop on the top and bottom, but there's also a little hole right here. And what I love about these is if you want to make earrings, these are the same on both sides. So if you like to mirror your earrings, you can mirror your earrings, but if you want them to be the same, you can also, hang them so that they're the same. But I was just like perusing a jewelry website, and they had a moon earring that had a really pretty like flower embellishment. And I loved that because you don't often think of moon jewelry with flowers on it. And then I opened this box and I thought, there's the spot to put a flower on this moon earring. So that is just a really cool finding. And then there is a moon chandelier component. These are fun to play with because you have all these little openings that you can do things with, and some really pretty little moon charms. How many? There's 8 pieces here. So like you could even do a charm bracelet with all these little moons if you wanted to. Just put jump rings through all of them and make a little moon charm bracelet. Such a sweet box. So pretty. Feels like I went rather fast. And did I even get everything? Looks like I did. Okay, you guys, I'm going to be stringing on my Soft Flex 49 strand turquoise color, and I'm going to be doing a really weird thing. I have 2 lengths here of my Soft Flex, and this was the last of the spools, so I just went ahead and cut it. And do you see this funny end? I know that looks weird. It's not at all how we start stringing. I'll show you what I did on this one, but I'm going to clean away some of the things that I'm not using. So there's a clean table beneath my project. So just be a second. Okay, I'm going to be using my 1.5 millimeter one-step looper. It really saves my hand, and I'm actually having a little problem today because I have to make a lot of components. I'm also going to be using some 20 gauge wire. So I'm just going to put my wire in there just past the back cutter when there's no beads on it, and just smooth and warm the wire. And I just will swing the tool out of my hand and keep going. So I have to make a lot more of these for this design, but also I'm going to need a couple of these type components so that I can get the clasp on. And I'm also going to need to make some jump rings today. So let me just show you how I do this component, and then I'll make all of these off camera so that you don't have to watch me do the same thing over and over again. So I'm having trouble finding the hole in that one. And this time I will use the guide hole because I have all this wire, and push my beads right up, gently close, push my beads right up to the front cutter of the tool. Let it make that cut for me. Don't let it flip out of the tool. Sometimes it wants to do that. And I'll just pull my beads down as I close, and I'm making sure that I am not putting any stress on my gemstone beads, and my little component is done. Now, one thing that I will do, sometimes when you make simple loops, you know that you're going to open and close them again for your design. These will not be opened and closed. These little components are going to get strung this way. So I like to make sure every loop is closed well, and with a little force, just open and close on those loops, and they are work hardened. So it makes a really nice strong piece. So I have to do quite a few of those, and then these things are going to be for my stringing. And before we start with the 49 strand and what needs to be done to prepare that I'm just off to the side here. I gotta dig my spool of wire out because I'm gonna need to make some jump rings for just for the ends of this. I think just for the ends is all I'll need it for. So I'm just gonna take a little piece of my 20 gauge wire and just warm it a little bit, and I'm gonna use this bail making plier. And I love this. It fits in my hand, especially when my hand is bothering me. Having a tool that has a nice big handle is really helpful. And I'm just going to put my wire in there so that I don't feel it here and get it started. And then I'm just going to push it against my finger and just make a little coil here. Okay, just slide that coil off my bail making plier, and then I'm going to take my cutter with this flush side, and right where I started my coil, I'm going to snip right where I started, and just snip one ring at a time. I love making my own jump rings because I think I make, they're really good jump rings, but they're anti-tarnish. I've purchased some commercially made ones, and you never know what they're made out of. And then, have all the jump rings in a piece turn black. Okay. Okay, let me set my one-step looper aside and bring in my Sawflex wire. So this side is already prepared, and this is going to look really strange. I am going to take a number 2 crimp tube and put it on the end of this wire. I'm really making a stopper here. I'm going to make a loop and pull that crimp tube down because I need a loop, and a loop that's not going to stay there. So I'm just making that loop just to get the crimp in. The number 2 crimp tubes and the magical crimping plier work great with the 49 strand, but you do need at least 2 wires through the tube, through the crimp tube. And sometimes I'll put a dummy wire, just poke a third one in there, and that gets you a really good crimp. If the crimp tube is filled up, then you get a really good crimp. If there's empty space inside the tube, it's hard to get a good crimp. So I just fit my tube right in the single divot in this plier and pinch the 4 corners of that tube into a square. And then I'm going to go in the opposite direction. And before you close down, just make sure that you, in fact, are in the middle and in the opposite direction of the tool, and you'll feel when it goes in, and then you close in that direction. And then you're just going to go around a few times in a circle, opening and closing your plier to turn that into a little bead. If you feel like you need a little more shaping, you can always fit it back in and go a little bit more. This is never going to be seen again. It's going to be covered up. And I'm doing this so that I get this look, so that I get just a ball, a gold ball on the end. So I'm going to come right here and cut my loop off. I told you this was going to look weird. This design has been rattling around inside my head for a couple of months. And I kept saying, what beads would I do it with? I need a focal bead, and I need like a really pretty spacer bead. What color? And this box was just perfect for that. So now I have this weird crimp bead that's crimped on the end of a wire, and it looks strange. I totally know that. And I'm going to come now with a crimp cover and fit this inside this crimp cover. It's tricky because it's really small, and there's no leverage, but just get it over there and really gently close that crimp cover over that crimped bead. And this is going to give me a stopper, like a stopper bead, but it's decorative too. It looks pretty. Okay, they are ready for stringing. Is this the funniest? This one looks like it needs a little extra love. Okay, they are ready for stringing. Is this not the funniest beginning to bracelet stringing you've ever seen? I totally know that. And then I'm going to start with this component that I made. And as I'm stringing these components, I am going to make sure that the opening of my loop is down on the bracelet. And I've never done this design before, so I'm not sure if that's even going to matter. This might be a two-sided bracelet. I'm also not certain if this is going to end up being more like a bangle because of the way I'm going to string it, but I'm going to start off at least with all my loops on the downward, facing down toward my mat. And I do have more string here than I will need, but I do save my scraps for my ring components. So that's the first, that's my first little little string like that. And so I don't have my clasp on yet, and what I'm going to do is put a jump ring right in between these two and add my clasp, and I'll finish on the other end in the same way. So now I just need a little bit of a pattern here of my spacer beads and my crystals, and maybe even these guys. I really like them. So I'm just going to play for a second and kind of come up with a pattern. Okay, so it's going to be like that. I think 2 of the crystals and a spacer and 2 crystals and then one of my components. And I think that I'm going to make some more of these and continue like that, doing some of those in the pattern. I really like the colors together. So obviously I have a lot more components to make. I'm going to just think about what I want to do here for this pattern. And I think I'm going to do a gold spacer on each side and then add in another one of the 4mm gemstone components. And I might even end up doing it random and not do it the same through the whole length, but I have kind of this kind of stringing to do. So I think I'm going to do another one of those components and see how it looks in there. So I'm going to make all these components. I'll just be a second for you. I'm going to use my one-step looper and get through them really quickly, and I will be back and kind of show you where this pattern is going. Okay, I did end up with sort of a little pattern, but also a little bit random. I just popped in some of the smaller gemstone beads here and there, and I like to create the negative space on my stringing a little bit random, so that's kind of what it turned out. I did some just totally gold spacers in between just to add a little stronger gold presence, and I went ahead and put my clasp on one side, so that worked out perfectly to put the jump ring in between the 2 gemstones. And I'm ready to do my 2 stopper beads on this side and really just duplicate exactly what I did here. Also, while I was sitting here making components, I said, oh, I'm going to go ahead and create a pair of earrings. So I made a little bit of a beaded chain with the exact same components from my bracelet and popped those beautiful gold zirconia drops on the bottom, and I'm using my gold filled interchangeable lever back ear wires for these. I sat here and made them and thought, oh, I don't even need to get out an ear wire. So a lot of you are returning regularly to my channel, so you've seen these before. I always link them in my description box, but I have about 3 pairs of these, and I've also gifted them to all the women in my life. They have this little cradle in here, so when you make your earrings, you know, you don't need an ear wire every time. You can just make the drops, and so they just slide on like that. They're really easy to interchange, and then you're putting gold filled metal in your ears and they just snap closed. And so oh, I put mine on backwards. I am so dyslexic that I tend to do that a lot. Let me get it right so it looks right. But they are very easy to take off. I had it right. Something was twisted. What am I doing? There it goes. Okay, I had it right. It must have the little chain, but I love the dangle on these, and they have a really strong, you know, gemstone presence. And these are just, it looks like fine jewelry. It looks like, you know, fine jewelry with the ear wires. So yeah, I could sit here and play with these. They're so cute, so simple, you know, but when you get such great supplies, and I just love that Bargain Bead Box switched to these kind of drops and the pendant instead of gemstone pendants. I think it's a nice, refreshing change. Okay, so I'm going to come to this end and do that exact same thing that I did. I'm going to be brave and not clamp that off. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did on the other end, make a loop that's going to get cut away. In fact, I'll go ahead and put my crimp bead. It will act as a stopper. I'll go ahead and put it on this side too. And so the other thing I kind of realized as I was stringing this, I actually had done a bracelet similar to this about 1.5 years ago, and I had forgotten about it until I started working on this one. But that it's really important, like if you're adding in a component, that it be the exact same width as the other components, because the beauty of this is the 2 parallel lines. And so I really want to be careful that I don't get this crimped too tight. You know, I want to make sure that it's loose. I mean, which we do on all of our stringing really, but I want a little bit of space in there because this is going to be a little bit of a cuff bracelet, or not a, well, maybe a cuff or a bangle, but this is so gorgeous. I absolutely love this. I love these colors and I love this design. So I'm just going to really take my time here and get this just right. Like not rush. Sometimes when the camera's rolling, I tend to rush, but I'm going to like really play with this and get it just right. I want all the spacing. See, that's like a little bit rigid. So I want all my spacing to be just so. Okay, so now I'm ready to remove my loops. Get in here as close as I can and remove those loops. Okay, and I'm just doing the exact same thing that I did on the other end, just really taking my time and getting the crimp cover over those crimped beads. This metal on a crimp cover is really malleable, and I've learned to just be really slow and not aggressive at all, and kind of go like side to side with really gentle movements, and even on this top to bottom, because it's a weird way to put a crimp cover on for sure. There's not a lot of leverage. Okay, it looks great. I'm going to go ahead and put my clasp on this end and close it and bring it around, and so I can see exactly where my jump ring needs to go. I love this project. This was so fun. Okay, this is done. Look how stunning this is. I don't even know if I'm going to do a charm on this bracelet. When I was creating the negative space, I was thinking that I could put a jump ring and add a charm, and there certainly are enough moons in this box to do that, but this is so gorgeous. Look at this bracelet, and even the clasp is so beautiful that it would be pretty, you know, just on the top of the bracelet. And it's a little bit busy with my other jewelry, but look how stunning this bracelet is. I really, really love it. It's gorgeous. So I hope you got some inspiration or picked up a little tidbit of a trick or a tip for your own jewelry making. And I will put my discount code in the description box under this video, as well as links to any of my tools. And I really didn't bring anything in from my own stash this time. I usually do, but I didn't bring anything in from my own stash. I usually kind of like personalize my bead boxes, but I didn't. So it's a really fun bargain bead box this month. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody.